Hello students, welcome to class 10 economics. Today we are going to discuss chapter 2 sectors of the Indian economy part 1. I have divided each lesson into two parts. You will be able to listen and understand each part easily within 30 minutes duration. Economic activities are related to production, distribution and consumption of goods and services. The basic motive or primary aim of an economic activity is production of a good or service with a view to make it available to a consumer to fulfill his or her final want. Broadly, we can classify these economic activities into three categories. You all know well: primary sector, secondary sector, and tertiary sector. Let us start with primary sector. In each slide, I have mentioned the page number and the paragraph we discuss. Okay, how can we define the primary sector? The sector which is engaged in the production of natural product or extraction of natural resources, or the activities which are undertaken by directly using natural resources. For example, agriculture, fishing, mining, mineral extraction, forestry, all these things we can quote under primary sector. Okay, why this sector is known as primary? Because it forms the base for other products that we subsequently make. So it is very crucial sector. That is why known as primary sector. And it is also known as agriculture and related sector. Now from this paragraph, we can expect questions like define primary sector, explain primary sector with examples, why the sector is known as primary sector. In the next paragraph, it talks about secondary sector. How can we define secondary sector? It is a sector in which natural products or the raw materials are converted into semi-finished or the finished products through manufacturing. The product is not produced by nature, but it has to be made, so some processing or manufacturing is required. For example, cotton fiber converted into spinning yarn to further weaving clothes. Sugarcane is converted into sugar. Earth is converted into bricks and further converted into houses and buildings. But this sector is, associated with industries, as the manufacturing is happening there. It is also known as industrial sector. Next is tertiary sector, the sector which helps in the development of primary and secondary sectors. These activities do not produce a good, but they provide or support for the production process happening in the primary and secondary sector. For example, the production of primary and secondary require transport, marketing, that is wholesale and retailing, storage, communication, banking, etc. So these activities generate services rather than goods. The sector is also known as service sector. Few other examples we can quote for service sector or the tertiary sector: teachers, doctors, those who provide even personalized services like washermen, barbers, cobblers. Then the people, those who do admin works, accounting works, then IT based work, internet cafe, call centers, software companies, etc. These all will come under tertiary sector. So what kind of question we can expect from this paragraph, that is para 3 and 4? Simple one mark question, that is define tertiary sector or explain tertiary sector with the help of examples, why it is known as service sector. Economic activities in these three sectors are highly interdependent. Actually, in page number 21, there are few examples given in the table format. Please refer that. The first example says, Imagine what would happen if the farmers refuse to sell sugarcane to a particular sugar mill. This mill will have to shut down. So now what does this show? Who is depending on whom? So this is an example of secondary or the industrial sector being dependent on the primary. The farmers in the primary sector, the sugar mill is in the secondary sector. So the sugar mill is dependent on the primary sector. See the second example. Imagine what would happen to cotton cultivation if companies decide not to buy from the Indian market and import all cotton they need from other countries. Indian cotton cultivation will become less profitable and the farmers may even go bankrupt if they cannot quickly switch to other crops. Cotton prices will fall. What does this show? Cotton cultivation in which sector? Primary sector. The Indian companies trading, they are in the tertiary sector. So here it shows primary sector depending on the tertiary sector. And in the paragraph, page number 21, two more tasks given, that is third and fourth. That is to be done by you people for the practice session. Comparing the three sectors. Actually, in terms of two things, we are going to compare the three sectors. One is their contribution in terms of economic growth. Second is their contribution in employment generation. That is, how much goods and services are produced in each sector and how many people are working in each sector. See the subheading. How do we count the various goods and services and know the total production in each sector? Actually, thousands of goods and services are produced in any economy. So it will be an impossible task to add the goods and services which are produced in different measurements. For example, we can say 100 units of wheat, 100 units of rice, 100 units of tons of pulses, and 100 meters of the clothing, and 100 coconuts, and 100 laptop. On what basis we are going to add them? What is our total production in that particular economy? It's not right to add the quantity of or the unit of the products produced. So what should be done? The value of the goods and services should be used rather than adding up the actual numbers. For example, assume there are two goods produced by an economy, wheat and the coconut. 10,000 kgs of wheat produced and it is sold at rupees 8 per kg. So what is the value of the wheat produced in the economy? 80,000 rupees. And 5,000 coconuts produced at rupees 10 per coconut. So what will be the value of coconuts produced in that economy? 50,000. So what will be the value of total production in that economy? That is 80,000 plus 50,000, that is 1,30,000. So what is the right way is adding the value of the goods and services by multiplying the quantity of the final goods multiplied by the market price. And the fourth point is very important. Only the final goods and services should be counted. Final goods and services. What are final goods and services? Which directly reaches the consumer to fulfill his or her final want. And the fifth point is value of intermediate goods should not be counted. Regarding these 2 points, we are going to discuss in the next 2 slides. So the goods that reach the consumers to fulfill their final wants are known as final goods. See the example. The farmer who sells wheat to a flour mill for rupees 8 per kg. The mill grinds the wheat and sells the flour to a biscuit company or a bakery for rupees 10 per kg. The biscuit company uses the flour and things such as sugar and oil to make 4 packets of biscuits. So it sells the biscuits in the market for rupees 60, that is 15 per packet. So which product is reaching the market for the consumers? Biscuits. So biscuits are the final goods. Which product is the raw material? Wheat flour is the raw material for the bakery and wheat is the raw material for the flour mill. So when we count as a final good, we count only biscuits. Why we should not count wheat or wheat flour as a final good? Because wheat flour is a raw material in the process of biscuits. The value of the biscuits includes the value of the wheat flour. So we should not take. And the wheat flour includes the value of the wheat. So again, wheat should not be counted. So goods such as wheat and wheat flour are examples for intermediate goods, that is, which are used as a raw material, completely used up materials in the process of production. The value of final goods already includes the value of intermediate goods that are used in the making final good. That is why, we should not count the intermediate goods value in the process of production. So what kind of question we can expect from this paragraph? Define or explain the concept of final goods and services with examples, and very important, why are only final goods and services counted? As we know the meaning of intermediate goods, it is very easy to define the term. Goods that are used up in producing final goods and services are known as intermediate goods. Means the goods which are completely used up in producing final goods and services. And another question we can expect for 3 marks or 5 marks even, distinguish between final goods and intermediate goods. So how can we differentiate? One, on the basis of the meaning of final goods and intermediate goods. Second, you can give the example. Third is final goods, the value of the final goods are counted and value of the intermediate goods are not counted. Okay. Now on page number 23, the next very important topic is there, gross domestic product, GDP. How can we calculate GDP? To calculate GDP, we should know the total production of all the 3 sectors. How can we calculate the total production of a particular sector, that is primary, secondary and tertiary? The value of final goods and services produced in each sector during a particular year gives the total production of the sector for that year. That means final goods and services produced, final goods produced by primary sector is known as total production of the primary sector. Final goods produced by secondary sector is known as total production of the secondary sector. Final services produced by tertiary sector is the total production of the tertiary sector. Now, the sum of production of all the, the final goods and services production, if we add up, we get GDP. See this, the value of final goods and services produced in each sector during a particular year is known as total production of the sector. The sum of the production of the final goods and services in the 3 sectors totally called gross domestic product of a country. It is elaborated in the format of formula. Total value of output produced in primary sector minus value of raw material used, that is intermediate goods, is equal to final goods from the primary sector. Second line, value of total output produced by the secondary sector minus the value of raw materials or intermediate goods used by them is equal to final goods from the secondary sector. And value of output in the tertiary sector minus any value of intermediate goods used is equal to final services from the tertiary sector. If we add all the final goods from primary, secondary and tertiary, we get the gross domestic product. Who calculates the GDP of a country? It's a huge task. So it is undertaken by central government ministry with the help of various government departments of all the Indian states and union territories. Actually, particularly you should know this as a part of the GK. It is Central Statistics Office, CSO, calculates the India's GDP. It comes under Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation.